So Robert, what are some of IFA's biggest milestones and accomplishments in franchising in 2016?
I think the thing that stands out for me the most, Andy, is the At Our Franchise campaign, which we began in June of this year. It's been talked about at the board for some time, but it really came to fruition then. The At Our Franchise campaign was created to sort of combat the widespread misunderstanding that exists in the public perception as well as in the ideas of public policymakers about what the franchising business model is. We have visited 7 different cities in 7 different states, during since June, and we've been speaking about this topic. We have been educating franchisees, franchisors, and about how to discuss this topic with their employees and with other public policymakers. We are going to be very focused on creating the very best, and there are already many resources on our website to educate them and to give them tools with which to educate their workers.
Great. And so for 2017, what are some of the priorities that the IFA will focus on?
I think the top priority for us is still our existential threat, which is the joint employer standard that was announced by the National Labor Relations Board and has now been spreading to other parts of the government, including the EEOC and OSHA and others. That standard destroys the autonomy that franchisees have to run their own businesses, and it basically makes them middle managers in a larger organization that would cause real damage to the underlying model. The one thing that I think our listeners can do is to join the Franchise Action Network. We call it the FAN internally, and to begin to give voice to their overall concerns to public policymakers, both on the state level as well as on the federal level. We have a new administration coming in, and we at least have some hope now. There's no certainty, but at least there's hope that there's going to be a new run at federal regulation and to overturn some of the more burdensome pieces that are out there. And I'm thinking about things like the overtime law, which increased the threshold for pay that was required by almost 100%, and the metabolization that continues for Obamacare and some of the unevenness in the integration of that mandate. And I think we are in the process of working within our industry to look, and with public policymakers, to look for solutions at the federal level to answer those concerns.
All right. As you know, our annual convention is right around the corner, so what are you most looking forward to?
I think the one thing that stands out for me is the incredible number of connections and relationships that are built at our convention every year. We have just a smorgasbord of offerings that include fantastic best practices courses that are available, and really granular and strong discussions on how to take your business to the next level. It is a conglomeration of top flight speakers and incredibly high quality content. And the thing that I like best is that we really strive to keep it interactive. It's got roundtables, it's got boot camp programs for people that are beginning, there are mentorship programs, and I just encourage everyone in the franchising industry that is interested in learning more about their craft and about their industry to join us in Las Vegas.
That's great. You mentioned that the IFA will be focused on the new At Our Franchise campaign. So what do you envision that campaign accomplishing?
Franchising is an incredibly dynamic business model, and it is a model that provides and brings opportunity all throughout the United States. The At Our Franchise campaign has created this website that I mentioned earlier, and the website is really there to help educate companies, both franchisees and franchisors, to help train their employees on what the franchising business model is all about. But it goes farther. It is also intended to be a resource to educate. If you're going out and giving a speech at your public high school, or if you're talking to a public policy maker, that website is going to have resources on it to customize presentations to your local level and really make the point. It's the fundamental lack of understanding that has existed out there that has necessitated the creation of this At Our Franchise campaign. That campaign seeks to sort of change that misunderstanding, and it is a way for the average franchisor, franchisee, and employees to talk about their business model in the way that it really exists and not in the way that someone else might be painting it.
So what have been some of the most memorable stories that have emerged for you here at the IFA over the past several years?
Well, certainly the convention stands out for me. The relationships that I've made, like so many of the people who've told me I've been coming here for 10 years, and the people that I do business with today are the very people that I met 10 years ago when I first started here. That is something that stands out to me, and it's no different for me now almost 3 years later. The people that I met at the first IFA convention that I was at are still many of the people that I rely on today, be they franchisors, franchisees, or service providers. Many of the law firms of the service providers to the franchises are people that I ask about the business and where they see things going, what growth they see, and the like. And I consistently turn to them for advice, and so that's one of the things that stands out in my mind.
And what gives you hope about franchising in the year ahead?
So we have a new Congress coming in and a new White House, and there is an opportunity for the first time in a long time to focus on a pro-growth economic platform. And I am convinced, as are so many of our members, that a rising tide lifts all boats, and that platform will be incredibly helpful to moving the franchise business along. The unnecessary regulations that have been out there and that have been growing over this last little time are incredibly burdensome to our growth, and they're hampering the ability to expand. Another thing that is incredibly positive, and an incredibly positive development for us, is the fact that Andie Snider has been nominated by the President-elect to be our Labor Secretary. He's an exceptional business leader, but he also understands public policy in a way that many people don't. Moving forward, I think we have to find a third way in this country. It's not the Republican way, it's not the Democratic way, and if I have a hope for this administration, is that we can find the American way.
Wonderful. And then lastly, in the holiday spirit, what is one of your favorite holiday memories?
Well, I think I think we're in the process of making it right now, Andy. This year has been a fantastic year, and we're capping off a wonderful year at IFA. It has been incredibly challenging, but this team and this staff has risen to the occasion in ways that I could only have hoped for previously. And in a year that had a lot of turmoil and unexpected changes, including a cyber hack after our last convention that nearly shut us down, and many other challenges, and a year that ended up culminating the election of, I'll say, the unlikely election in everyone's mind, at least certainly inside of the Beltway and inside of many of the sort of pundits' minds, of Donald Trump. I think we're right in the middle of it this year, but it's been incredibly gratifying, and I'm delighted that we're moving forward with such a great team in the future here.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.